Hi, I'm Marcos Varela, and you're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com.
Hi everyone, John Liebman here. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. We're coming to you today from the NS Design booth at the 2019 Winter NAMM Show, Anaheim, California, with our old friend Marcos Varela. What's happening, Marcos?
Doing well, thank you. Thanks for having me, John.
Thank you for being had. We did an interview a few years ago.
Yes, sir.
I was reading that interview today, and we talked about Texas, and we talked about the school you went to and all the other notable people that went to that school.
Awesome.
We talked about your family and how everybody in your immediate and extended family seems to have some sort of artistic flair.
That's true.
I think you said your father's an architect.
That's true.
You talked about your mother's record collection. Great interview on ForBassPlayersOnly.com. Marcos, M-A-R-C-O-S, Varela, V-A-R-E-L-A. Just put that in the search thing. The interview will come up. It's a good one. But we're going to pick up from there because it's been a few years. I know you're a busy guy. You're doing all kinds of busy things. So bring us up to date on some of the highlights of what you've been doing since we last spoke.
Well, since that period, you caught, I guess that was right after my record was released, or within that year.
San Ignacio. I forgot to mention that.
Yes.
Good record.
Yes, so that record came out. I did a European tour backing it in May of 2017, which was went really well. We did Liège Jazz Festival, and it was a double bill with Fred Hirsch's trio, which was wonderful. Billy Hart was the guest on that, and we also had the wonderful alto player Logan Richardson, who's a Blue Note artist. He was on it, and Tony Tissier, who's a wonderful pianist from France. That was really great. We did. We played in Valencia, Spain. We did the Belgian Liège Jazz Festival. We played in Paris. Played in Ireland. So it went really well. That's great success.
Great, a cross section of different cultures.
Yes, it was quite a hodgepodge of cultures there.
Imagine going to a restaurant and each one, you probably get a whole different experience in each one of those locations.
That's true. That is always a plus of being a musician. You know, you get all the.
Not always a plus, but.
But yeah, no, I guess that's true. But I always try to find the good food, even if there's not going to be good food.
I noticed they don't know how to make Mexican food in Mexico, though. They don't do it right, but that's another story.
Well, yeah, I mean, to me, that's my favorite. I know a lot of Texans love their Tex-Mex, but, you know, my dad being Mexican himself, it was always, we never had the Tex-Mex. It was always the traditional, real deal Mexican. So that's what I grew up on, you know. So, so since then we did that tour. I had a real busy 2017. I was out with another band, a Swedish-led group by Elsa Nilsson, a great flautist. So we did a tour as well. John Snarwart's trio with Ronnie Ben-Hur, a wonderful guitar player who I've been working with since then. We did a tour of Belgium, mostly European kind of stuff. And then at the end of 2017, I was on the road with Amina Figueroa, a great pianist. We did Earshot Jazz Festival Seattle and played in San Francisco at the Douglas Beach House Bach Dancing Society, an old historic venue up there. And then we were in Turkey at Akbank Jazz Festival, and we did some dates in the Netherlands and Belgium as well at Beaux-Arts. So that was really, really wonderful. Very, very busy 2017. 2018 was, kind of more of the same. It was a little bit, but I was doing more producing work. You know, I've been producing a singer, this wonderful singer Alicia Waller, and so I played on the record, hired all the musicians, arranged all the music. Her EP is going to come out later this year. We're just finishing the mixing for that, and then it's kind of led to a lot of different bands that I've worked with. You know, I got into kind of a production type of role. I produced a trumpet player's record out of Chicago and played on it, and then I was doing a lot of sideman work with a bunch of great different players. Dwayne Eubanks, great trumpet player, Kevin Eubanks' brother. We were playing a bunch. We did. It's been all over the board with just different people. Eddie Allen's wonderful sextet tribute to Louis Armstrong project. I'm trying to think. I have to look at all the different things I had, but it was a busy fall. And now as I'm going into the spring, I have some stuff with Ingrid Jensen, wonderful trumpet player, her band, coming up, and and I'm doing another tour in Europe and a record for a Spanish record label with saxophonist Noah Preminger and Rob Garcia and John O'Gallagher. That's going to be nice. We're doing a tour of Spain, and then I'll have some dates around that in Austria and also in the Netherlands as well. So it's just more to come. You know, I'm keeping busy. Yeah.
That's it?
That's all.
You know what I'm wondering while I'm listening to you? You mentioned a lot of different artists, a lot of different bands, a lot of different countries. Is there a common thread there with all those different gigs that you did and tours? How similar or dissimilar were those different acts and different hats that you had to wear for all of those?
Well, I think my coming up in jazz, I came up listening to a lot of before I became a jazz musician. I feel like I was really into rock and roll, a lot of late '60s, early '70s. Basically, what we talked about, my mom's record collection, and jazz was almost like a way to become the working musician I wanted to be. Kind of have a toolkit, like if I can learn jazz, my ear will be strong, and my reading will be strong, and my understanding of different genres and grooves will be strong. So I always wanted to play a lot of different music, but I kind of had to go down the jazz route for that to come full circle. Another thing I did in 2018 I forgot to mention, which is kind of like that, is my friend Oran Etkin, who's a jazz clarinetist, but he does a lot of crossover music. We went to Zimbabwe and recorded a record with the Shona musicians and the Mbira players from there, and that was almost strictly African, but adding a jazz element to it. So I think my training has always been to be open-minded and to understand and just try to absorb all these different musics and cultures, and then see what I can put my flair, my signature on, and whatever that artistic development has been through what I've learned. And I thrive off that. I just love cultures, and I love everything about the travel aspect of the music and all of that in general. I guess that's just what I love to do. So. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that.
I think that says it well. You remind me of Nate Watts, who was at a Bass Player Live panel several years ago. Cool. He says, yeah, you have to play the music that you're presented with. Sometimes it's written out, sometimes it's not. And there's a set part that people expect you to play.
Yeah.
But then sign it.
Yeah.
Make it your own. I wrote a blog about that one time.
That's cool.
It is. It's very cool. So just enough of them. Actually, I think it's a video back when I interviewed Kern Brantley, who was with Lady Gaga and David Foster and all. It's interesting. Yeah, check that out too. You'll like it. I should mention, or I did mention, that we're at the NS Design booth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's talk about your gear. Start with NS Design.
Well, NS Design, I have their CR5. I just think it's the most versatile kind of instrument I have in terms of the tone qualities I can get out of it. Their electric upright, I've used it on occasion, but mostly since I'm a doubler and I play upright and electric pretty much equally, I found that this is the best quality tonal instrument I can find that will travel well, and that's a big thing, especially nowadays with dealing with flights and airlines. It's nice to have something that's compact, but then I feel like I have a real high-end instrument when I get to the gig. I don't have to worry about dealing with something that's just halfway there, and so that was a big thing. I recorded with it when I was in Zimbabwe. I used it on that trip.
Well, you do get around.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like, I just think it's just a great piece of gear to have, and one of my most cherished pieces of gear. Yeah.
I imagine there's a time in your life when you traveled with a big regular, full-size upright bass.
What's that?
Not full-size, but I mean a regular acoustic bass.
Yeah.
Those are fun to travel with, aren't they?
Yeah, no, it's become very difficult. I do have a travel version of the upright, but now that regulations on airlines are getting tighter, it's become harder and harder to travel with it. So I end up borrowing basses a lot of the places I go when they need the upright sound. But I do have a travel bass, and I have gear set up for that. I'm also a Fishman artist. So I use their full circle pickup, which I love with the upright on both my travel bass and on my normal Jusic bass. And I'm a Tomastic strings artist. I use their strings for my electric basses. I love their flat wound on my old P bass, and then I have their 5-string set for this for my CR5. And then I also use their other strings for other basses I have in my arsenal. And then also for upright, I'm exclusively using Barry Colstein's Heritage strings, which are just wonderful. For the past year, he's been very kind to have taken me on as an artist of his, and I mean they're just they bow well. They really opened up the bass. You know, I had some other strings I was really trying to find my sound, and this one really kind of had that balance of an old gut string sound with the clarity of a more modern string. Yeah.
Barry Colstein is a great guy. He had me out to his shop one time. We did a bunch of interviews. And he just moved to a new shop.
Yes.
And I saw some pictures on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'll have to, next time I'm in the area, I'll have to stop by.
Yeah, well, let me know. We'll go together. Yeah.
It's a date.
Nice.
What else? Did you mention amps or effects or anything else?
Oh, yes. So amp-wise, and effects-wise, Aguilar has been a big mainstay for me. I mean, they're the most versatile amp I could find for both upright and electric. You know, I wanted something, versatility is important to me because I play a lot of different styles of music and I play upright and electric. So it was the one that was it was really punchy, really wonderful electric string, and then for upright, it doesn't shape the sound too much, so I still can get the string, the hand sound string from my hands, which is really important to me. So Aguilar has been a mainstay. I've used their effects. I have have an octaver of theirs, the filter, pedal of theirs. They just make great stuff all around, just great company, and they're worth checking out for any of you guys that are interested in finding a good amplifier that's for anything you want to do.
Now I know your schedule is pretty well set for the foreseeable future, but if you could see beyond that, is there something else that you're planning to do, or something else that you've always wanted to do but just haven't gotten around to yet? Someday I'll...
Man, there's a few things. I want to do a few new projects, record a few different new projects I have kind of in mind. Some are more jazz related, some are more kind of jazz rock related. I have a project that I've been playing with Bob Lanzetti, a Smarky Puppy, the wonderful guitarist. So he's got a thing that we've been doing together with Ross Peterson and Justin Stanton, where we all bring in our composition and writing, and it's kind of a collaborative that I think I want to try to get that recorded and get that touring. And that's mostly just electric, that stuff. I don't play upright in that band, and use a lot of effects. And then I have a band with my cousin who's a wonderful alto player, lives out here. We wanted to do a recording, and then I want to lead another new record of my own, just as a single leader that put that out there. I also do a lot of writing for films and commercials, TV and things like that, and so my goal is to get a nice feature project down the line that I could write for strings, because I was doing a little bit of that writing for this singer I've been producing, Alicia, and I want to expand on that. I want to write for a bigger, not just a little chamber group, but a full orchestra one of these days. That's a big goal down the line. Yeah.
Don't we all get the same 24 hours in a day? You seem to be making the most of them, and good for you. You've got to be, I'm sure you're great at time management and prioritizing and just getting things done. Plus you have a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So good for you on all fronts.
I appreciate that.
I don't remember if I asked you this last time or not, but what would you be if you weren't a bass player? Something outside of music.
I think you might have asked me that. It changes, I mean, when I was real young, I was really into archery. So I always thought that, man, I'd love to be an archer in the Olympics or something. That was a fun idea. But as I got older, I played baseball my whole life, and I still am a big baseball fan. I love my Astros, where I grew up, Houston. I think that would have been cool to be involved in baseball in some way, shape, or form. There's a lot of things, but they're good as hobbies. I think for right now, I really love being a musician, and that fulfills me the most, and keeps me going in life the way nothing else can. So.
By the way, I'm working on lining up an interview with Bernie Williams.
Oh, cool.
Who's a guitar player.
I know, yeah. I knew this. I have friends that have worked with Bernie, and I'm always like, get me on a session, man. I just want to talk about, those late 90s Yankees with him. Apparently he's a really sweet guy, and he went to Manhattan School of Music and was excelled as a good student there. I had buddies I had a funny story about that. He's a Canadian friend of mine. He's like, yeah, there's this baseball player who's going to our school, you know. And I said, you know, like that's equal to having like Mario Lemieux in your school. And he was like, really? I had to like make a hockey analogy for him because he had no idea. Like, he didn't watch baseball. And, you know, it's like, so he thought that was really funny. And he's like, oh wow, I had no idea.
I am leading us way off topic here, but let's stick to base.
Sorry.
No, it's my fault. I asked you. Hey, congratulations on
Thanks so
all
much,
your
John.
success and all your energy and everything
Thank
else we
you.
talked about. Keep it up and keep us posted on what you're doing, and we'll share that with these folks
I'd
here.
love to, and I appreciate you reaching out and you know, wanting to follow up. It's been wonderful talking with you, and hope to see you again very, very soon.
I look
Not
forward
in
to
2.5 years.
Sooner than that.
Yes, sir.
On location with our friend Marcos Varela at the NS Design booth at the 2019 Winter NAMM Show, Anaheim, California. I'm John Liebman. You're watching for BasePlayersOnly.com.